Hello there, you beautiful soul. Welcome back to another Culture Talk segment with your host and founder of Cultured Society. My name is Rebecca Munoz, and it is such an honor to be here today with you to exchange energy with yet more special guests that are coming through these doors to be able to express their truth, to be able to talk about the experiences, the philosophies that have shaped them into the people that they are today. And I'm so honored because this is my first segment where I'm doing a duo, and it's a mother and daughter duo. And I want to share a brief story about how I came across these beautiful women. So when the pandemic started, I had just transitioned to Las Cruces, New Mexico, literally 2 weeks before we went into lockdown. And at this time, I had literally released everything that I owned. I had sold all of my belongings and packed up whatever fit in my red Chevy Cruze and drove down to Las Cruces, New Mexico to move in with my parents. I'm 36 years old, and I have been through a long journey of healing, transformation, growth, you name it. I have been through it. And I'm not really scared or fearful of what's to come because I truly believe that we're exactly where we need to be. And we're in that place of transition. And we're always in a place of transition. So it's important for us to learn how to adapt very quickly to what's happening, because if not, we're going to be left behind, right? And so I had it in me to not only bring myself to my home state, but also to accelerate my healing and to connect with people in a way that I had never connected before. So I was compelled to go out into the community in the prime of a global pandemic. And I just decided to go and knock on doors. I didn't do this every single day, but I did. I was guided to pick specific days to go out into the community and just to ask for guidance to go into the communities that I needed to be. And it just so happened to one day on a beautiful spring day, I knocked on Kendra's door. And Kendra was the person who answered the door, and we just had amazing conversation. It was not too long of an exchange, but a few weeks later, I ended up running into her at one of my favorite coffee shops called Spirit Winds, and she happened to be the barista at Spirit Winds, and I just kept running into her in the most random times, the most random places. And I was drawn to her and I wanted to really get to know her. And she's a lot younger than me, but the conversations that I had with Kendra were just so enlightening and so uplifting. And it doesn't matter how old you are. I always like to say that kindred spirits and old souls live within each and every single person. And it's really up to that person, up to you to activate that and to go out and have experiences and connect with people in such a unique way that is going to just, awaken something within you that is going to take you to another level. And within one of my interactions, I came across Sandra, who is Kendra's mother. And I had learned about Sandra because I drive down a local street on Las Cruces, New Mexico, and I would see her realty building. And I wanted to live very minimal. And I've always wanted to have especially now within the last 3 years, to have a very uniquely designed way of living. And you just so happen to represent somebody who does that. And I'm just so honored. I can't tell you enough how honored I am as I'm learning more about the two of you and your family and what you have going on moving forward. I'm just so inspired. So I'm going to let you tell your story with the questions that I'm going to be asking. If you've not tuned into these conversations yet, just know that you are embarking in a journey of life philosophies, experiences, and cultures. And you're going to come across people that are so different from you, But at the end of the day, we were all designed to be human. We all have blood flowing through our veins. We all have a heart. We all have a brain. We all have beautiful eyes to see through, and we're mobile, right? So technically, we're kind of all very similar, and we just have a very specific DNA code that we were brought here to Earth to fulfill. And so we are all here to express that we're all very unique, but we can all come to this platform, have an amazing conversation, exchange energy, learn from each other, and grow. That's the end goal, right? So today I want to introduce the beautiful Kendra and Sandra Espiritu to this beautiful platform. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yes, these conversations are so unique, and the questions that I have come up with are all the same. However, because we are all having a very different life experience, these conversations are going to unfold so uniquely. So I just invite you today to put your listening ears on and to just tune in to an amazing exchange of energy. So with this, I start off the conversation with the question that really puts everybody to just self-reflect and to just take the time to understand why you're here on this planet. So either one of you, and I would love to hear from both of you, and you can decide who wants to go first, depending on, you know, where you are right now in your spirit. But what is your life's philosophy?
So just to start off, I just want to say, like, me and my mom share a lot of philosophies, like values, way of life. So I feel like what we say, what we're both going to say is very similar, but also, like you said, we're on different paths of life. We're on different dimensions of time. So that's just one thing too. So I know, like, my life philosophy, we were talking about this earlier, just throughout some experiences, especially recently, I feel like I'm always baffled by why people don't just do what they want to do when they want to do it. Like, what's holding them back? If you want to move, move. If you want to quit your job, quit your job. Like, I think that's what I've, at least in my 20s, come to understand, is just to do what makes you happy and do what you feel like are meant to do.
Yeah, that's a huge one. And I love seeing that in her, that there's never something she won't try or be afraid of trying. So I love that. I absolutely love that, because that's how you follow your heart, and that's how you fulfill, you know, those desires and that potential. So that's just amazing. And for me personally, like, my life's philosophy is just, I guess, always be grateful for everything, good and the bad, because also, like you said, like, you learn to adapt, and things happen that, you know, challenges come up and things happen, and you just learn to adapt. But just always be grateful for every moment. And I always try to see the positive in everything, where other people point out the negative in things. I'm like, yes, I understand that's a challenge or that's a problem. However, look at the bright side. Like, what can we do? What can we learn? How can we shift? How can we grow? So that's always been, like, something I've always done. And some people have also said, like, you're too positive. I'm like, is there such a thing as that?
I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So when you learn that, and you're like, okay, that just takes you to, I think, another level, because kind of like nothing brings you down. You try to, like, just grow from challenges and things. So it's almost like you have bad days, but they're not really bad days, because you can always, you know, see the bright inside each moment.
And I feel like, just to add on to that a little bit, ever since we were little, like, we were always taught to always just accept what's happened, whether it's good, bad, and know that there's a higher reason. There's a reason why this happened and this didn't happen. It all makes sense later, and we may not know now, but just to know, like, just to accept that, and that everything happens for a reason. So that's a huge life lesson that we learned pretty young.
Oh, absolutely. And I know, and I read in your bio, and just so you know, I didn't read an official bio today, but I am going to put all of their history, Sandra's and Kendra's history, on the description box below, and you'll be able to have all their contact information on their social media platforms for you to connect with them. So one of the things that I learned about Sandra is that you are from Guadalajara, Jalisco.
Yes.
So you are from Mexico, represent, and that is such an amazing thing. So you have been in Las Cruces since you were 9, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And you have had Enchanted Sun Realty for 16 years?
Correct.
So, you know, I like to know how that philosophy has evolved for you, considering that you come from Mexico, that you're in a border town, and women, you know, women of our culture tend to not as much traditionally go the route that you've taken and develop, you know, the skill sets and just like the successes that you've had. So talk about how that philosophy has evolved through, you know, the up leveling of your successes, especially coming from where you come from.
Absolutely. So I think it's been a huge part of like everything that I've ever done. Just growing up in a really humble, like family background and having that history, just being able to see like, okay, what can I do to change the situation for my family? So I've always had that thought in my mind, like, you know, work ethic is super important to me. And also just being a good example to other women, to other Latina women, like, why can't we change the past? Why can't we improve it and make it better? Like, the world is ours. Like, why? There's no limit to what we can do. And like, the more people tell me, why are you doing that? You can't do that. It's like, oh, just watch and see. I'm like, who said I can't do that? So it's like, no, it's the opposite. It like fuels me. And I tell my kids all the time, there is nothing you cannot do. Just put your mind to it and just go for it. And there's going to be challenges, but like, you learn every time. Instead of the toughest part is, I think some people just give up really early. I could have given up so many times. There was so many people and so many challenges throughout the way that I could have given up. But I chose to say, you know what, my heart, and I feel like my heart is pulling me this way. This is where my passion is. Like, I'm not going to give up. I know that most people give up pretty early, but we just push through those challenges to get to where we are. And we love like inspiring people to make sure that they understand that too, and they can do the same thing. So that philosophy has carried on throughout my whole life, where it's always like, just be totally grateful for what you have, help other people and inspire other people, and just follow your heart.
Yes. Oh, there's so many little nuggets of wisdom in that statement. And it's so good because, you know, it's sad. And this is the sad truth, is that we don't even utilize not even 10% of our brain. We're not even utilizing 10% of our human capacity. And if you think about it, when you look at the anatomy of the body, we're literally like trillions of cells, DNA, atoms. When you look at those atoms in a microscope, you just see floating energy. So technically, we're energy and water. Like, that's it, right? So when you think about it and when you conceptualize our humanity that way, like, there really is no limit. None whatsoever to what we can do. And it's such a beautiful thing, but fear tends to hold us back, right? From the unknown tends to hold us back from not doing that. But it's like when we're living second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, we're given the opportunity to really create magic, like, and watch it all unfold like an architect, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we can make
so
it all happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Kendra, how has that philosophy for you evolved through the years?
I feel like just seeing the way I have changed, I'm 21. So in my 20s, I feel like already I've shifted my philosophy a little bit just to where I am at this point in my life. And things have happened to where you meet people, you have new relationships, certain events happen, and you kind of just like go on the path of your philosophy, but you're changing as a person too. So I feel like you're constantly having to understand who you are and morph your philosophy to fit who you are, but always stay true to yourself. So that's one thing that it's just felt stronger and stronger throughout the years. So I feel like it has changed, but in a way it stayed the same, but just grew.
Yes. Yes, yes, that's so good. That's so good that you pointed that out. And then also, like, you always end up going back to that the core foundation, the values, the morals, and then you build on that. Just like a designer does on, or like when you're building on a blueprint, right? Like you have a blueprint, that's the foundation that you're going to follow. And then you kind of just like build on to that as you're moving on in your evolution or your project or whatever it is. So that kind of goes or ties into this next question. How has your upbringing and circle of influence impacted the way that you think and live today?
I feel like that has a lot to do with like being Latina and being Mexican American. Obviously, I have a different experience than my mom, and she has a different experience in her own realm and in like our age difference and you know, societal differences. But I feel like it's just like our upbringings are very similar in the same way. Just being humble, being appreciative, um, never take anything for granted. And also, I think one of the biggest things is when I was growing up, my parents never like force anything down my throat. I was never forced to do anything or believe in anything. And that has been the most amazing thing for me, because you realize how special that is to just be able to view the world in a completely like non-biased aspect, and whereas other people are trying to get out of these biases or understand what's real or what's not. And I feel like that's huge. So that's one thing definitely for sure that's brought me here today, about just the way they raised me, and those have stayed true. So
I love
Yes.
that. I love that. I love hearing her say that. And just, yeah, when we, as parents, we always kind of gave the kids options, and they got to choose, and they understood, like, you know, there's circumstances and there's like results to those actions and to those decisions that you make. And it's been amazing to kind of see them grow and make those decisions on their own and see what's best for them. And it's just, I think that's just made them much more mature. And like you said, like see the world like your own different way, and you just experience it very differently.
And also just having to do with like with spirituality or faith or political spectrum, or you know, it's we got to choose for ourselves, and that was huge, because I mean a lot of people my age are trying to figure out finally what they really believe. Like, is it what their parents are telling them? Is it what their friends are telling them, or their education? So that just I feel like gave me an advantage to just be able to actually be at this point in my life and already know that this is my opinion, this is like what I believe, and it's actually mine. So
Yes. And that is, that's probably the main reason why I was so drawn to your spirit, because I've always been that way, but I didn't really feel like my parents gave me choices. Like they kind of, because I grew up in a very traditional, not only Mexican home, but also like my dad was a minister my entire life. And I was raised into an indoctrinated like religion, and it was hard. It was like I was completely different from the world, but that doesn't really give you an opportunity to really grow into yourself and to develop your own ideas and your own opinions. It's really important to have a very strong foundation of faith, most importantly, and trust, you know, within the home, like for you to be able to go and have conversations with your mother openly without being ridiculed and told that you're not right. That doesn't create a safe space for you. And it really does allow you to evolve into who you're supposed to be.
Correct.
It really does. It's so beautiful. And we need more of that, because we have so many parents now that are babies having babies. And especially here in our town, right? It's very prominent in our town, and we need to learn the importance of awareness, consciousness, freedom, the right type of freedom, right? And to just have those core belief systems that are going to to plant seeds of just truth, right? Truth, wisdom, sovereignty, and choices that are going to allow you to evolve into a good human being, period.
That's right. That's right.
Good human being.
Yeah,
Do you
just as
believe?
long as we teach that, that's the most important thing. Exactly. Just be a good human being. That's
it
what
doesn't
it comes
matter
down
what
to.
you believe, like
Exactly.
as long as you're doing good.
Yes, yes. And I'm telling you that when you're in alignment with your mind, your body, and your spirit, you have no other choice. Like you're being led to do good. You're being led to treat your body good. You're being led to, because when you're not treating yourself good, you're not doing a service to humanity. The represent like the reflection of what you're experiencing in your outer world is really a representation of what you're experiencing in your inner world. That's how you perceive reality, you know? And so you have to treat yourself well. You have the inner dialogue, the relationships with your family and your friends are really just going to be a representation of what you're experiencing internally. And we need that. We need more of shifts in that. So do you believe that your line of work infects our society with positivity?
Kendra.
I feel like that's our goal. I mean, she said it in the opening. We're very positive people. We're a very positive family. We're always smiling and laughing. And I feel like we want to bring that into our business somehow in any way. So obviously with like Enchanted Sun, like I've just noticed everyone is so happy. It's not traditional like 9 to 5. It's just we're always building like a positive environment. And I feel like in every endeavor we get into, create, we're always looking about like how can we help the community? How can we change? How can we do good for others? So with Grounded, that's one thing, obviously in the name, that we want to be a central like value for just the entire thing, even though it's just a coffee shop. It's a coffee shop, pizza and wine lounge, but it's a place where people can meet and have a shared space and enjoy company and make new connections. And I feel like that's going to be a very positive thing for the environment and then just our community too. So I'm super excited.
I love it. And just everybody that walks into Spirit Winds, when she was there for the last 4.5 years, they would always tell me, Sandra, your daughter is just amazing. I mean, she's just this old soul. She's just so wonderful. She's got the biggest heart. She's just such a pleasure to be around. And I love that. I mean, you can see that in her. So as we open Grounded and she's going to bring that into that business, I mean, it's just a wonderful sense of community. Absolutely. And that's what we want to build. And also for Enchanted Sun Realty, same thing. Just always not only helping our customers with like one of the biggest decisions to either buy or sell a home with real estate, but is just nurturing those relationships and telling them about how beautiful Las Cruces is as a community, and also like helping out the team. I love inspiring our team. That's one of my biggest like passions, that when you get people that you get to help out and you get to empower and inspire, and they don't see the potential in themselves, but you see it and you help them get there or even past that point, that is amazing. I love that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh man, it is, that's so important. That's so important. And I mean, we have to come to the reality, the realization that we can't offer that space to people, and we can't have that type of perception of what we want to create in an environment if we haven't done that for ourselves first. It's so impossible to pour from an empty vessel. So the fact that you are providing that environment for your people, like that just speaks volumes of what you do for yourself, how much belief you've poured into yourself, the both of you, because I've had already numerous conversations with Kendra, and she's so well-versed. She's so experienced in travel, in culture, in language, in philosophy and the importance of education, but not just traditional education. You know what I mean? Like you go out into the world and you educate yourself just by being out and exploring, right? So I love that you provide that type of environment for your people, because that's the way that you grow, that's the way you evolve, and God blesses you abundantly that way.
Yeah. And if we focus on like building others, it just always comes back. It's just amazing. It's not focusing on the bottom line. It's not focusing on production. It's focusing on helping people. And that's always been like our passion. So, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And how would you say that you stay? And I already know this answer, but I love to hear it from you, especially because as creators, we don't give ourselves enough credit about like how badass we really are. But how do you stay relevant, unique, and true to who you are as a person and as a creator?
That's a tough one, huh? Oh my. So I've always been like personally been the type to, I don't care what anybody else is doing. I'm not going to follow the crowd. I don't want to be popular. I don't care about any of that. I just always follow my gut instinct and my heart. And I always want to be unique. If everybody's doing something, how can I stand out and be the opposite? You've seen our building. I mean, it's a shipping container building.
Yes,
So I was like, I want to be unique and bold. That can be, like that was accomplished, hopefully. So like for us, it's like the opposite. Like we always want to maintain our uniqueness and our branding and our just everything. The world, sometimes it's a very negative place. It's a place where there's a lot of fears and a lot of doubts and things like that. And so we try to teach our kids and our team and everybody that we're involved with, like, do the opposite, like bring in some compassion, bring some kindness, bring gratefulness, and, just like what can we do to help each other out in difficult times? So I don't know if that's the right answer, but it's like, how do we, like, we always try to stay as unique as possible and not follow the crowd, I guess. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want you to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind Grounded, because I feel like that already itself is very unique. You're not doing what everybody else is doing here. And even you're going to launch in the prime of another possible lockdown, right? This upcoming year. Talk about that experience and what really inspired you to just do it.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a family, I guess, shared goal for a long time. We since we were little, like traveling, taking pictures at coffee shops, like the first thing we do when we get into a new city is look up the best coffee shops. So it's just something that we all share and we all bond over. So I feel like it was inevitable in our future to happen. But also we did not realize it was going to happen this soon. I don't think any of us were like prepared, which is fine because it's happened in such an organic way that we're just dealing with it and we're just going with the flow, and things are happening so quickly and without any effort at all. And that's super special. And I feel like it's finally the time where all these little pieces that we didn't even think about are just coming together on its own. So that's one thing that's super, super huge about this. But also, you're completely right. We are probably, I don't know, maybe going to go into another lockdown in fall. Hopefully not. But it is a scary time to be opening up a business, but it's also such a time of opportunity.
Yes.
And it's so special. I don't even know how to describe it because people are like, are you serious? You're crazy. The same with her business in 2008. But it's just a thing that happened, and we're just all in it now. And my little brother's gonna work there, my sister, me, my dad. So it's just a family ordeal, and it's so fun. And just with the name Grounded too, we want to build community there. We want it to be a place that people can get grounded. One of our little taglines is "Stay Rooted." So like find their roots, or, it's just a place where people can be creative and collaborate. And yeah, we're just super excited because we're all hands on deck here. And all getting into the creative side of it too. So it's been an adventure.
I love that.
Oh yeah. So good.
And with the pandemic, even with COVID, it just feels like people need that connection more than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And then, so, you know, if we do go into a lockdown, hopefully we don't, but when we do open back up, we'll be ready. So, yeah.
And that's also just if the time's right, you know, if we go into lockdown before we open, that's fine. Or if we think it's going to happen and we kind of prolong it a little bit and we wait until next year, that's just how it has to be. And that's fine with us.
Yes.
Adaptability, right?
Adaptability, absolutely. And honestly, I don't really believe that there's a wrong time when it's God's divine time, right? And we're really led to do that intuitively, especially being a woman and being in tune, and also just like not really worrying about what others think about you is such a powerful tool to have during this time. I was just having a conversation with a good friend of mine that lives in Atlanta, and he has a brand called Happy with Daddy as well as Happy with Mommy. And it's so beautiful because he started this movement not too long ago, as maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's really evolved, especially during the pandemic time. And you're right, we are living in a time now where people are so disconnected, and we need to be reminded of how important it is to connect at a soul level, and being grounded and rooted in truth is the ultimate way to be able to do that, to not only connect with yourself, most importantly, but also to learn how to divinely connect authentically with others, because that's the only way that we're really going to we're going to be able to impact at such a dramatic level. It's going to like send waves out. We need that here, especially. So, I know more than ever before, you probably aligned, but like, do you believe that the work that you do every day is aligned with your purpose and higher calling?
You want to answer that one first, or me?
I feel like, well, I know you are. I feel like I am now. Obviously it's hard when you're a college student, you're like searching for this, you feel like you have to halt everything until you get this degree, until you can finally go out and do what you're meant to do, or what you think you're meant to do, or what you want to do. And I feel like I'm getting to do that simultaneously while finishing my degree with Grounded. So I feel super, super special for that. If I looking back, I wouldn't say my end goal in life is to own a coffee shop, but it's a definite like small goal of mine. And I think it's super special that our family's doing it. Yes. And also that it's so centered on our values too. So that's definitely aligned with just my passions, my values. And from there, I'll just continue to grow into just aligning with other views and other values and stuff too. So yeah, super and fortunate.
For me, kind of the same thing too. So with real estate, I never thought of it like I'm going to be a salesperson, I'm going to sell homes. It was always very much about what goals am I going to be helping people accomplish. Mm-hmm. So it's like the family is like the number one thing, and like a family's security and their sense of family and community is their home. And so for me, that was like really important. So it totally aligns with like my passion, my goals, my dreams, and my philosophy to help other people like achieve that goal, to be able to own their home. And that's just like the American dream. So it's just amazing to be a part of that. So it totally aligns with that. And then just having an amazing team that kind of, that I can kind of mold and help and inspire to accomplish their goals and dreams is amazing.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And earlier in the conversation, you had talked about how you believe that people who don't maybe succeed in line of business, for instance, give up too soon. Where was that turning point for you? Like, and how maybe long did it take for you to really like take off? And were you at that brink of like, this isn't worth it?
Yes, it's crazy. So in 2008, we opened up the business, in the crash of the market, like during the crash of the market. I worked from home for the first few years, and then we opened up a small office space, and organically we started growing and gaining some momentum and having some real estate brokers join our team. And then literally I lost probably most of the team within 5 years. They went to other companies. They thought the grass was greener somewhere else. So literally at that point, I was like, do I start from scratch? Do I start all over? Do I quit? Do I join another company and just let go of my dream to own my own? And at that point, I was like, I came home and I was like devastated. And my husband and I had a conversation, and we're like, you know, he asked me like, do you want to do this? Like, is this what you want to do? Is this your passion? Is this your, like your goals? Your, you know, is this what you want to do in your heart? And I told him, yes, absolutely. Like, I know this is just one of those challenging times, and I'm just going to have to get back up and do it again. And literally I got back up and I started again, and we have built the team. I mean, when I thought I was losing amazing people, God brings you more incredible people. And you're like, okay, this is what I've been waiting for. So when you think that it was something bad and it just, you go past that point and it just, you realize why you went through that, and that challenge that you went through was to just help you grow. And It was just a challenge to test you. But then at the end of the day, you end up just, if you focus and you have the right intention, I always tell everybody, if you have the right intention and your heart is in it, you will succeed. And we started from scratch, and now we have over 30 realtors. And at that point, we only had like 5. And so now we have over 30. Now we're expanding to like Silver City, Ruidoso, Roswell.
Nice.
So it's amazing. Yeah, I'm so glad I didn't quit. I'm so glad I didn't give up.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. And, you know, we have to, again, like, it's so important that we recognize that redirection and rejection is God's protection.
yes.
God's protection, and that we have to learn how to adapt quickly, right? Like in a snap. Because if you think about it, we can lose our life in just a matter of a second, right? So making decisions with sovereignty and wisdom is so important, because we're able to maneuver through these like life obstacles with just so much ease and grace, and knowing that when there's a lot of resistance, it's usually either you're on the brink of breakthrough or it's just not the right thing, and you just have to let go. And you have to learn how to do that and be quick, like just be quick. So I believe that it's really important for us to keep ourselves connected at all times. Like Abraham Hicks says, become tuned in, tapped in, turned on. It's important for us to be able to do that quickly and efficiently. And the only way that we can do that is if we practice this on a daily basis. So what practices do you implement in your life to stay grounded and divinely connected to self and to source?
I personally, well, we grew up doing yoga and meditation. My grandma, she just moved to Taos, and they're doing like a retreat center, and just everyone in my family is pretty hippie,
pretty earthy, pretty open to everything.
So I feel like we're all, like, we all do yoga, journal, you know, take little mindful walks. My grandma does this thing where she does gratitude walks in the morning, and she just takes off her shoes and walks in the wet grass, and she thinks about all the things she's grateful for in the day. And it's so cute. And just little things like that, I'm constantly doing just to like, just check myself if I'm not on the right wavelength in my head. If you know, some days are harder than others and you feel like lost or disconnected and you just have to reconnect real quick. I feel like the biggest way for me to just ground myself really fast is to just go out in nature. I'm always hiking. If I need a second, I need to go put up my hammock and read for a little bit. I feel so rejuvenated and better. And I feel like that's been the biggest help for me just throughout high school, college, you know, in between my classes, I'll go out to the mountains, have a picnic by myself. And I love that alone time, but like you don't feel alone when you're outside. So that's my thing. That's super big for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's beautiful. You, Sandra?
Yeah, journaling is a big one for me. I have to like put things down on paper. And when I feel like I'm overwhelmed or I have to let go of something, I have to just analyze and say, am I really happy with this or with what I'm doing here? So it just kind of, I eliminate the stuff that's not good for me, and then I just focus on the good. So journaling is a huge one for me. I'm always writing things down, and like a grateful, like little things always, like what am I grateful for? I took a lot of Tony Robbins like courses, and he does this meditation in the morning that's amazing. So I've done that. I've done transcendental meditation. So yeah, and like going out in nature, like Kendra said, that's beautiful. You just close your eyes and you hear the birds, and you just, you know, it totally grounds you. It definitely does. It just relaxes you, and just, the stress just leaves your body. It's just beautiful.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I love journaling, grounding without my shoes. If it was up to me, I'd probably be barefoot all the time.
Me too.
She takes off her shoes everywhere she goes. So yeah.
We're neighbors, you know this. And I probably 90% of the time walk over here without shoes on. And they're like, didn't you walk here? And I'm like, yeah.
It's so funny.
That's exactly how I love being barefoot. It's like my favorite thing in the world. And people think it's weird, but I just like, oh man, I was born in the 70s in my past life. I definitely.
I love it.
What words of wisdom would you give to those seeking a deeper understanding of themselves?
Oh, that's a tough one. For me, I would say just, there's so much outside noise going on in the world, like just everything, like social media, what you should be doing, what you're supposed to be doing. And it's so much that I feel like people get really confused on who they are and
yes,
and what voices they're supposed to listen to. And that's the biggest thing, I think. I feel like we just need to really focus on like our gut feeling, where our heart is, more than what our mind is telling us to do. I've never been really analytical as far as things go. I just always have like followed my heart. Like if it's meant to be, I've always followed my heart, and things always work out financially or, you know, family wise or whatever. If you just have that sense that you're doing the right thing and you have the right intention, and just follow your heart. So that's the biggest thing. I think there's so much noise going on that people are really confused in this moment, and they're doing things that society is telling them to do, rather than what they're not listening to themselves, and they're not making themselves happy. Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
And I feel like the same exact, just to be patient. I feel like people, especially with what society tells us, like you have to fit into these categories and put a label on yourself. Like, what are you? And that can be really hard for people, especially when we're constantly changing. And when, like I said earlier, you're having to figure out yourself for yourself, not for what your parents have said or your environment, you know? And so I feel like just being patient and understanding that it's a process and it's not something that you're going to just know when you look real quick. It's you have to take the time and to truly understand yourself. I feel like you have to be alone by yourself. You have to experience things by yourself. You have to do hard things by yourself. And it's really hard, but it's worth it. And you don't really have to explain that to anybody, as long as you know who you are. You don't have to put a category to it or a label. So
that's so good. And
good job, Kendra. Good job.
Yes. So we don't want to live in a cookie cutter society. I mean, you go to these neighborhoods where all these homes look the same, and I'm like, what's the fun in that, right? Like there's no color. There's just, it's so muted, and you don't even like, you talk like everybody else. And I'm not trying to do that, right? Like, and I truly believe that we are ultimately the architects and designers of our own life experiences. And it is unfolding rapidly before our very eyes. And what's great is that we have been given the freedom of choice. Don't ever let anybody take that away from you, even if we are in a political and spiritual warfare right now. Because at the end of the day, we have freedoms, commandments that are written in stone. And when you know whose you are and what you're here on this planet to do, no one's opinion, no one's rules and regulations, like where are they coming from? Like, show me that I have to do this, because you don't really have to do anything you don't want to do, right? And we have such a unique calling over our lives, and it's really important that you tune in, tap in, turn on that gifting that God has given you, that your creator has given you, for you to bring fire to this world. Because I believe we're moving into a different dimension of time that I like to call my heaven on earth.
Oh, I love that.
That's a daily thing. You know, you could experience heaven on earth every day, or you can experience hell on earth every day. You choose. You get to choose how you see it. And so I am so excited, because this conversation was so lit and it was so inspiring for myself. And I know it's going to be very inspiring for the people that are going to tune in. Do you have any finishing statements that you'd like to add?
I just really admire you. That's all I want to say. I love our conversations every single time. I love that you are constantly trying to connect. And I love that, because I feel like many a times I have to be the one to do that with others. So it's nice to have that like reciprocated too. Sometimes I know I'm very busy. So thank you.
Yes.
No,
Absolutely.
it's wonderful. The connections are super important. I feel like people are just so super busy and so overwhelmed that they don't take the time to connect with people and really understand each other. So what you're doing is amazing. So it's beautiful. So thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I'm just really grateful for the experiences that have unfolded for me throughout my history. And it's given me such, I want to say it's an advantage, because I've seen a lot of things and witnessed, experienced, and really even had an opportunity to work in different career paths. And I truly believe that, you know, no matter how long it's taken for you to get to the place that you're at right now, I truly believe that you're exactly where you need to be. And you had to acquire all these life experiences and lessons for you to get the big picture, and for you to fall into the place, into the line that is going to ultimately take you to to the next level of your existence. And you know, we're always evolving, and we never fully arrive, you know. So it's really important for us to give ourselves grace through the process, and to recognize that we never arrive, because when we get to the next goal that we had, there's always going to be another goal and another goal and another goal. And that just shows you that we're limitless until we go into another dimension of time in the spiritual realm. And then who knows where we're going to end up there. So I encourage you that you activate that muscle, that empathy muscle, the compassion muscle, the grace, the unconditional love, and just tune into what God has really brought you here to do, because we all have magical gifts that everybody in this world needs more of. So I am sending you so much love and light today. And until next time, blessings.